Legendary Pokemon. I think one of the most pivotal parts of having a very good Pokemon game has to be whether or not the legendary Pokemon looks amazing and strong. In most cases, they are the deciding factor in which version a fan will choose. I mean, when people are lining up to buy the next new Pokemon game, I'm pretty sure 99% of people don't want to see this on the cover of the game. That 1% of you is weird though. But for all of you guys watching this video, I think we can all agree that for these upcoming new Generation 8 Pokemon titles, the legendary Pokemon need to look just as amazing, if not better, than the previous ones. And with Pokemon Day looming in the background and the inevitable announcement of Generation 8, I think it's high time I take advantage of a trend that's working, because that's really all I'm good for nowadays, I guess. But with that depressing thought out of the way, welcome to the top 5 new legendary Pokemon that I would love to see come around in Generation 8. For this list, I have rated these Pokemon based on design, but I will also go into detail on possible stats and moves for the Pokemon. Speaking of which, I do not own any of these awesome Fakemon designs. All the creators will be credited in the description as well as in the video. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. And with that being said, let's get started. Japanese culture, though a lot different from that of my American culture, is something that I always found very interesting to observe. From the fashion, daily routine, to the food, but one of my favorite little bits from Japan always was origami. Being able to fold something simple just as paper into such complex and beautiful designs was just so interesting to me. So I thought, hey, why don't we use that art of origami and make it into a legendary Pokemon? And I know we already have Kartana, which is a combination of a samurai and origami, but these designs here made by WerePenguin I think captures and uses the idea of origami much better. Since origami is all about folding paper into different sorts of things, I think it would be a cool idea for the Pokemon itself to also shapeshift into different stuff similar to Rotom. And like Rotom, I think its typing should also change. I think the original bird form should be like a flying type, the boat form should be water, the shuriken should be like steel, and the flower should of course be grass. And this could just be the start of it. There can also be many different forms for every single typing and maybe even dual typing, so you can choose what typings you want to use. And in terms of how you would go about changing the form, I'd assume going about it the same way as Rotom would probably be the best way. As for stats, I think it would vary a lot depending on the form. Like, I feel the shuriken should be a fast physical attacker, whereas something like the boat should be a bulkier Pokemon with good special attack. All in all, I know this idea and concept has been done before, but I personally would love to see origami be used to its full potential in the next Pokemon games. Look, I gotta say it, one of the best Pokemon fan games out there has to be Pokemon Sage. I don't think I've ever seen a non-Game Freak made game that successfully made Fakemon that I could genuinely see in an actual Pokemon game, but here we are. And I know I pull a lot of Pokemon from these games to use in these videos, but that's because there are so many amazing Pokemon in these games. And I promise I won't do it as much. But this design that was once again pulled from the Pokemon Sage fan game is probably my favorite legendary Pokemon design from these games. Aron's, as it's called, is one of the 3 legendary Golems of Erebos, the other 2 being Eryizo and Eryizo. Aron's really struck a chord with me the most though, because as you all know by now, I really love fire, and this thing has a lot of it. And speaking of which, its typing not only has fire, but steel as well, which can be very useful in terms of battle. Not only that, it also has a very cool backstory, being based on artificially created humanoids as well as the era of man called the Bronze Age. There's also bits of Greco-Roman mythology in there, which I of course love as well. As for stats, I think what Pokemon Sage has listed up for it is pretty much fine to me, maybe just up the special defense and HP a bit, but besides that, it's pretty much perfect. Move-wise, I can see this Pokemon learning Iron Head, Flare Blitz, Earthquake, Will-O-Wisp, and maybe Drain Punch for coverage. I know this Pokemon kind of looks like a Reggie, but to be honest, I think it has enough differences to really make it its own thing. Well, I think if we try to figure out what typing is the most common in legendary Pokemon, I think most of us would say that it has to be the dragon typing. And well, with all of the past dragon legendaries that have come through the ranks, I'm really surprised we haven't gotten a legendary Chinese dragon yet. And I know we have Gyarados, but I mean, this mythical creature honestly deserves to have its own legendary too. And I think this design, which is again from Pokemon Sage, captures the essence of a Chinese dragon perfectly. Now I know I said that Iran's was my favorite legendary design, which is still true, but it's not my favorite design in this game. Because surprisingly, Fulong, which is a great name by the way, is not an actual legendary Pokemon and has a pre-evolution called Crackling. But even though it's not technically a legendary, I still believe it can be one on its own. For typing, since it's called the Firecracker Pokemon and Chinese dragons are usually associated with that, I think having a fire dragon type would definitely make the most sense. Stat-wise, having it be a fast mixed attacker with pretty decent defenses would be pretty much perfect to me because I feel this Pokemon looks like it can be very versatile. For moves, Dragon Dance, Dragon Claw, Outrage, Flare Blitz, Flamethrower, Earthquake, and Dragon Pulse are all moves I could see this Pokemon having. I think out of all of the designs I have on this list, this Pokemon is for sure the most badass one on here, and if it ever joined the Pokemon universe, I would definitely be adding Fulong on my team. If there was a region in the world that I would love to have added into a Pokemon game, it would have to be something in North America, whether it be Canada, Western United States, or maybe even Mexico. I think there's a lot of cool ideas you can go with from a region based on Mexico, and it could really be a fun experience for us Pokemon fans. And more specifically for legendary Pokemon, if we had a region based on Mexico, I would seriously hope that this design made by Devildman would be one of the main ones on the cover. As Jaguar is based on obviously a jaguar, but also has ties to the Aztecs, which were Mesoamericans that flourished in Mexico during the 1300s to 1500s. I remember reading up on history about the Aztecs in school and always found them rather interesting, so seeing that bit of nostalgia in this Pokemon already makes me like it a lot. Type-wise, Devildman has it as a fire fighting type since the whole thing is that it's a jaguar warrior type of Pokemon, which kind of just makes sense to me. And for stats, well, it's a jaguar, so it has to be pretty damn fast. I'm thinking like base 140 for its speed, and to make full use of its typing, let's also have it be a mixed attacker, but a notch better in physical attack. As for moves, the typical Flare Blitz, Close Combat, Earthquake, Wild Charge, and Swords Dance are all good, but I would love to see a custom move exclusive to this Pokemon too. But I couldn't really think of a good one, so I would love to hear from you guys. If you have any suggestions, share it with me in the comment section. Tell you what, the best one will get a shout out in next week's video. But yeah, as Jaguar is just a really cool looking Pokemon, and I would love to have one appear in Generation 8. And finally, coming in at the number 1 spot, we have by far the coolest design for a Pokemon I've seen in a while. Staying with the whole native idea, I think one of the coolest things I've seen come from their culture has to be these Dreamcatchers. The designs and different looks you get from every one of them are so beautiful and interesting to look at. And the whole idea of these Dreamcatchers is to essentially hang them over your bed while you're sleeping to protect you from having bad dreams. The strings represent kind of a spider web used to ensnare or trap bad dreams from entering your mind. That's why when I came across this design made by Tubbs AZ, I just couldn't say no. First of all, I gotta say, the name Night Snare is a perfect play on words that also works well as a name too. Secondly, the design is perfect as the Dreamcatcher ensnares the bad thoughts, and you can even see some ghost-type Pokemon faces like Gengar, Spiritomb, and even Cofagrigus. For typing, you would think Ghost would be the best option, but I actually like the idea of Dark and Fairy much better here. As for stats, I don't think this Pokemon should have any bulk whatsoever, at least to legendary standards, but it should definitely be quick and have strong special attacking prowess. Move-wise, Hypnosis and Dream Eater have to be a thing just to make sense, but for actual moves to use, you could have Dark Pulse, Moonblast, Shadow Ball, Psyshock, and Psychic. I'd also like to see a custom move on this Pokemon too, so if you can think of something cool, let me know in the comment section and I'll give you a shout out too. I don't know if this Pokemon would make the most sense as a legendary, maybe more as a mythical, but I don't really care. I just really want one as soon as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and let me know in the comments section below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and become an Eryizo today. If you want to check out the previous video I did, be sure to click the annotation on the left. And if you want to see some more Generation 8 videos, be sure to click the other annotation on the right. And with that being said, I will see you guys next time.